back to the sport of bodybuilding, health, and fitness.
Okay guys, thanks for coming out today. Hope you all learning something, maybe see some stuff you haven't seen before. Obviously a lot of stuff you may or may not have seen. What I'm going to try to do, I'm covering arms, and what I don't want to do is bore you guys with a lot of stuff you've probably already seen, basic movements. I am going to touch on some basic movements that I use, just simply because even though, you know, a press or a curl or something like that is like a very basic movement, it's still something that should be incorporated in your routine. But I am going to really try to show you maybe some different things that you may not be using, maybe something that you've seen somebody do before but you're not really sure how to do it properly, or the form, or if you're doing it right. One mass building movement that I really like to incorporate in every one of my arm routines is a close grip bench press with the Smith machine. I like to use the Smith machine because with the close grip, you're going to have a little bit more of a balancing issue, and you know, the thing is with the Smith, you don't have to worry about balancing it, so you can focus a little bit more on putting on more weight and really loading some weight on the triceps, because it just kind of goes back to big weights are going to build big muscles. Obviously, that's not the final say in it, but the thing is, a lot of times, you got to put a load on the muscle group if you want to really stimulate new growth as far as mass is concerned. So, what I like to start with is the Smith machine. You obviously want to position the bench, and it's not like a typical bench press where you're going to basically be right under it, because when you're going to try to focus on the triceps, you got to scoot back a little bit more so that the bar is coming down to maybe like about the center of your chest, but you want to keep your elbows in kind of close to your side. You want to make it comfortable. You don't ever want it to be awkward. If you get under and it's like awkward, then it's, you know, you're probably in a bad spot. You know, you don't want to do that. So you want to make sure that it feels mechanically sound and you're comfortable, but at the same time, you need to pay attention to certain, you know, things that you need to focus on with your form. So what I do is, obviously it's a close grip, so you're not way out here because you want to keep the tension on the triceps. All right, and what I do is I do a grip to where my thumb is actually on the outside of the bar. And you're going to bring it down, and notice how it's coming up high, so I'm going to scoot down a little bit, all right? And now that tension is all on my triceps. You want to remove as much tension from the chest and the delts, because we're not trying to focus on that. I'm coming from here, and you just get that press. And notice how my elbows are in close. If your form is right, you got the safety on there, you got a spotter, then you should really just try to train to failure and just try to push yourself past what you did last time. Because the worst thing you could do is continue to do the same thing day in, day out, you know, with your routine, and it can just get stale. Okay, another good mass building movement is the overhead extension with a dumbbell. Again, the reason why I like to call it a mass building movement is because this is a movement where, you know, you can pyramid up to some pretty decent weight, you know, over 100 pounds with the dumbbell, and really load a lot of tension on that particular muscle group that you're trying to train, which is obviously your triceps. Obviously, we're going to use a really light weight, but just for demonstration purposes. Now, here's one thing that a lot of people screw up. Make sure that you're grabbing this, you just overlap your hands, and you just almost like, just let it hang in there, okay? A lot of times if you see people grabbing like this, that's going to mess you up when you go down the lower. Okay? And from here, you want to keep your elbows in relatively close. You don't want them way out here like this. You don't want it uncomfortably close together. Just wherever it feels comfortable. And you want to bring it down and just break the plane to where you're just below parallel, and then power it back up. Just like this. Now, this is a movement where it's very important to warm up. If you don't warm up properly, you can actually aggravate it and tear something. And I don't know if anybody's ever done it. I've done it before, where I started off, you know, like 100 pound, 120 pound dumbbell. Like, not a good idea until you're warmed up, because it'll actually create inflammation. One bad workout. I mean, you can have one bad set and one workout 6 months ago, and it's still bothering you. Okay. Okay. Again, we're going to bring elbows, that's good right there, all right. And just drop it down just below parallel and then power it up. There you go. Now you notice how everything is squared off. All that tension, that's all tricep. He's got nothing else moving that weight but the triceps, and he's got that tension. And as you start to increase the weight, you're really going to put a heavy load in an isolated fashion on that tricep, which is really going to stimulate a lot of mass building potential, just a lot of mass growth. Again, this is kind of a basic movement. I'm sure everybody here has done a cable push down. So I'm not going to really harp on it too much, and I'm just going to basically say that, this is another thing that I incorporate into my workouts. One mistake, and a lot of times you'll see people, their form is just terrible on this movement sometimes when they start going heavy. If you see somebody that's maybe new and working out, anybody ever see this one where they're over here, or they're over here, and it's terrible, okay? What you're doing when you do that, or you see somebody doing that, is first of all, you're creating a serious imbalance in the mechanics of your body and how you're actually moving that weight. If you're leaning into it like this, look how crooked you are. I mean, what are you building when you're like this crooked, okay? So that's something you want to avoid. And it's like a lot, and when it starts getting heavy, that's something that your body's going to want to try to cheat that way. So keep in mind that you want to keep the cable right in front of your face. Keep your elbows back, okay? Because what you're doing is it's just a swivel, okay? And you just basically want to keep that tension on that tricep. So from here, with the elbow back, you don't want to lean into it too much, but just enough to where you're comfortable. And you don't have to lock it out. What I like to do is just go right to the top of my quadriceps. Then bring it up, break the plane, down, up, down. Now this is more of an isolation. And what you're going to do is you're going to back away from it, and I like to just steady myself with my left side here, and it's just a kickback, but instead of using a dumbbell, you're using the rope. And you notice how I'm keeping my arm parallel, and it's constant tension on the tricep muscle, as opposed to a dumbbell where the tension is going to change from here to here. Here it's constant tension. And you want to go ahead and bring your elbow up. There you go. Now that's all tricep right there. I mean, there's really no way, you can't really cheat on this one. As long as your form is on point, your tricep has to contract, and it's constant tension because he's not letting that weight down. He's never getting a break, okay? With a dumbbell, the tension changes, obviously, because depending on where the stress is. But here, you're just constantly pulling, and that's gonna. You notice that you feel that isolation right there. Well, the thing is this: you're going to really feel that tension right here in the rear of the tricep. You're going to really feel that isolation right back in here. And what that's going to end up doing is just creating that development so that it really just kind of like jumps off the separation between your delt and your tricep, so they just have that fullness and that roundness. All right, well, I want to thank everybody for coming out. Hopefully you guys learned something today. Hey guys, just finishing up the latest Dragon's Den training here in Franklin, Tennessee. Got to tell you, it was a huge success. A lot of people showed up, about 300 people altogether. And, we had a really good time. Got everybody out on the floor, learning some new techniques, got them around, shifting around, and everybody had a really good time and learned some new stuff.